Have you ever noticed that the moment you defend yourself, you lose power? That the more you explain, the weaker you appear? We are taught that silence means submission. That if you stay quiet, you are losing. But the Stoics believed the opposite. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you don't need to react to every provocation to remain strong. Seneca warned that anger gives your enemy control over your mind. Silence, when chosen consciously, is not fear, it is discipline. There are moments when words only feed chaos. Moments when your reaction is exactly what they want. And moments when saying nothing allows truth, time, and consequence to do the work for you. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not weakness. It is strategy. Because sometimes, silence is the strongest revenge. 1. When someone disrespects you publicly. When someone humiliates you in public, the instinct is to strike back immediately. To defend your image. To prove you are not weak. But the Stoics saw this as a trap. Public disrespect is often a performance. An attempt to steal attention, provoke emotion, and elevate oneself by dragging you down. The moment you react emotionally, you give them exactly what they want. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the opinions of others do not define his worth. Your dignity is not something others can take, unless you hand it to them. Silence, in this moment, is not surrender. It is control. It shows that your inner stability is stronger than their noise. And that no insult has the power to disturb your character. 2. When people lie about you. Few things trigger the ego more than hearing lies spread about your name. The urge to correct every rumor, to defend yourself loudly, feels almost irresistible. But the Stoics warned that chasing every falsehood only chains you to it. Seneca observed that injustice often reveals more about the person committing it than the one receiving it. Lies require constant energy to survive. Truth does not. When you rush to justify yourself, you give credibility to the accusation. You signal that your peace depends on the opinions of others. And in doing so, you weaken your position. Silence allows time to work in your favor. Over time, contradictions surface. Patterns emerge. And those who lie eventually expose themselves through their own behavior. For the Stoic, karma is not magic or revenge. It is consequence. And sometimes, the most powerful response is to step aside and let it unfold. 3. When someone wants a reaction, not the truth. Not every confrontation is about honesty. Some people don't want clarity, they want a reaction. They provoke, accuse, or mock, not to understand, but to watch you lose control. The Stoics understood this psychological game. They knew that emotional manipulation feeds on attention. The moment you react with anger, you become part of their performance. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have the option of having no opinion. No opinion means no reaction. And no reaction means no leverage for your opponent. Silence, here, is a refusal to play a rigged game. It denies them the satisfaction they seek. It protects your mental clarity. By staying silent, you do not lose the argument. You expose it for what it is, a search for chaos, not truth. 4. When anger would make you say too much. Anger creates the illusion of clarity. In that moment, every word feels justified, every sentence feels necessary. But the Stoics warned that anger never speaks truth, it only releases regret. Seneca described anger as a temporary madness. Once words are spoken in that state, they cannot be taken back. They linger, damage relationships, and often create consequences far greater than the original offense. Silence becomes a shield. Not to suppress emotion, but to prevent it from ruling you. By saying nothing, you give reason time to return. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to pause, to breathe, to act only when the mind is calm. Because self-mastery is not shown by how loudly you respond, but by how much control you maintain when provoked. 5. When explaining yourself changes nothing. There comes a point when explanation turns into exhaustion. You repeat yourself, clarify your intentions, and offer logic, yet nothing changes. Not because you are unclear, but because the other person has already decided not to understand. The Stoics taught that you are not responsible for convincing everyone. Your duty is to act with integrity, not to beg for validation. When understanding is refused, explanation becomes self-betrayal. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it is enough to do what is right. You do not need applause for it. Silence, in this case, is acceptance of reality. By stepping back, you conserve energy. You protect your peace. And you allow actions, not words, to define your character over time. Sometimes, the most honest answer is no answer at all. 6. When life is already teaching them the lesson. Not every wrong needs your correction. Not every offense requires your intervention. The Stoics believe that life itself is the most effective teacher. When someone consistently acts with arrogance, cruelty, or deception, consequences follow naturally. Their behavior shapes their reputation. Their choices shape their future. You don't need to accelerate what is already unfolding. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the world operates according to cause and effect. When you interfere out of ego or anger, you often delay the lesson rather than deliver it. Silence, here, is trust in the natural order. It is the wisdom to step aside and let reality do its work. You are not avoiding justice. You are allowing it. Because in Stoic philosophy, the strongest response is often restraint. And sometimes, silence lets karma speak louder than any words. Conclusion. Silence is not avoidance. It is awareness. The Stoic does not stay quiet because he is afraid, but because he is disciplined. He understands that not every battle deserves his voice. By choosing silence, you protect your character, your energy, and your peace. You stop feeding chaos and start strengthening yourself. In a noisy world, restraint becomes power. And those who master silence remain untouchable.